Hi, Dave here from Aardvark Swift. I've got the pleasure of speaking to, I think, the coolest person in games. Am I right in saying Tom? Uh, Tom Roller, who's the CEO of Plan A Collective. Tom has got a background to him, a bit of a roll call on what he's done. So, set up your own place, Outsiders in 99, spent a few years there, well, nearly a decade, then on to 2K, Crytek, Activision, Volta, Rascals, Vigilante, and now you're the CEO at Plan A Collective. So if anyone can give us a bit of insight in the industry, what we've been going through at the minute, and some insights on what we might be expecting in the future, then Tom's the man. So hi, Tom. You all right?
Thank you for having me, Dave. Doing great, and pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So, I mean, to start off with, let's just see what got you into it in the first place. Was it a lifelong ambition to work in games? Seems like a big jump to set up your own place straight away. So yeah, tell me.
I would say combination of naivety and ego, because I started my relationship with games first as a player and then as a games journalist. And as a games journalist, I kept bitching about games and how they should and could do things better. And eventually I decided that it might be a good idea to try it myself. And I realized that it's actually more complicated than it seems to an outsider. And I fell in love in the process of creation and in the amazing mind that making a game makes you meet. And I'm addicted to making games for about 25 years now.
Love that. So you're currently CEO at Plan A Collective. I made a note of some of the stuff you've worked on, which is excellent. So Exoborn, that's a recent thing. What's been announced? Flight Simulator. I saw some of the planes and helicopters you've done on there. That's insane. Dragon's Dogma, Devil May Cry, Destroy All Humans. You've been there for 5 years. Talk us through that journey.
Well, sure. Basically, I as you can see on my CV, I'm rather job promiscuous, and that's solely because over all those 25 years, I wanted to absorb as much knowledge as I can, and also meet as many people as I can. And so initially, I started my journey in games by setting up my own outsourcing studio back in 2004, where I felt that I still need to learn a bit more from others before I can ship my own game. Even though I did ship my own game before in 1999, the first one, where I acted as a designer. And I felt that working with other partners will accelerate my learning, which turned out to be true. And I got to learn both sides of the fence, the developer / co-developer and the publisher side, which came very much in handy when I finally went on and established my own studio. And I've been blessed by meeting a lot of amazing people over the years whose shoulders I could stand on as I went independent, both in terms of partners and my team. So when I basically told my connections that I'm starting my own outsourcing studio, I had nice projects and partners to lean on, which was fantastic. Capcom was our first client, actually, and with Devil May Cry 5, and to this date, it's one of my favorite projects. But as the years went on, my team, which started initially in art, gradually grew to engineering, design, VFX, all the way to now full cycle development. So co-development is currently where my heart is. So even though I feel that we do have our own stories to tell, and we're working on our own IP, because the co-development, my passion for co-development comes precisely from the experience to be gathered in working with different partners from different cultures and different technologies and minds.
That's so interesting. So because you've been doing it for so long, your network, the people you've met through the years just meant that you had that stability and the confidence that when you wanted to set up your own business, you were in a really strong position to do it. That's pretty fantastic. Sometimes it's just longevity, isn't it?
I would say I got very lucky that I got to gather a lot of success stories and also lessons to learn from over the years to capitalize on nowadays.
So what's the life of a CEO, Tom? Obviously, you've grown from a very small company to what are you at now? What's your head count?
We're at about 80 people, and the life of a CEO, as I see it, is perhaps a bit different from what I saw in larger companies that I worked at, because I still wear way too many hats. I would say more hats than I should, probably, because we are still in the transition from startup to like something more robust, and I do enjoy the challenge where I get to be creative across various departments and look for interesting people to put those hats on and to learn from them, and collaborate from experts to kind of find a way how to do management better than ever, because this was my main driver why I transitioned from first from design role to management role, and then from working for someone else to going independent. I was very intrigued how can I help teams make games in a healthier environment, more efficiently, with work-life balance in mind, considering studio culture, and also, which was very important for me, making it in a natively remote team, because back in early 2000s, I was convinced that natively remote will be the way of the future. And indeed, this was the setup of my own first outsourcing studio back in those early 2000s. So basically, imagine that back then the internet wasn't just fast enough to support the exchange of large amounts of data. So we were basically FedExing the DVDs with game builds to our partners left and right, and
well, anything's easy after that, isn't it? Anything's easy after that. So
right. I mean, it only took like 15 years and a pandemic for that to become new normal, for the remote to become new normal. And
I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? You mentioned the pandemic there, and from my experience, we saw a massive shift in mentality because hiring plans went stratospheric even, and then it became an arms race to be the best place to work, offering the best benefit package, the best community of people, and obviously that remote function as well. So you were kind of leading the charge. You had the upper hand on that, I suppose, Tom.
No, we were indeed lucky during pandemic, because we were ready for natively remote setup, both in terms of security tools and processes. And while there is always something to continuously improve on, Plan A saw its business booming, and even advising a good chunk of the partners on how to increase the efficiency of their remote setup, and how to successfully integrate a group that they just brought on board to become a part of their project. So This was a fantastic opportunity to capitalize on the experiments I did over the previous 15 years, both independently and for my past employers.
So we've been through two quite seismic periods in a very short period of time. We had the pandemic to begin with, and now we're seeing the turmoil within the industry, which is an effect of that. As a CEO, going through those two things, what are the big learns from it?
Well, basically, I would say that the lessons that I learned is basically to be more careful with risk taking and spending in the first place. For us, it was very and still is very tempting to just run with our ambitions and develop our own IP tools, etc. But basically, the situation made us first of all be more conscious about our priorities and spending, and second, more than important, I feel the importance of protecting my team because I can see that particularly in the last year, a lot of people lost their jobs in the industry. However, I do understand firsthand the struggle that you have when you're trying to find a job, and particularly when you're building a team of completely new uh, uh, people who never shipped anything before. And I see a great value in having that tightly knit team that is able to deliver. And I see the importance in protecting the team in difficult times.
Yeah. Have you guys at Plan A, and obviously without going too much detail, but how affected has the last year or so? Has there been much of an effect on Plan A in the last year or so with the turmoil we're going through?
Oh, definitely. Since we are a service company, we are 100% still dependent on our projects, and we don't have a financial backing from any investor. We are independently owned and built on green grass. So what the last year brought to us was several projects disappearing from our pipeline right after I actually built a team to work on those projects, and they were supposed to work. They were supposed to take 2 years. So I was facing a decision whether to let those new hires go or dive into our war chest and protect the team. And I opted for the latter, not only because our hiring process is quite complicated. It takes us a long time to select the right people for natively remote team. They need to be skilled. They need to be autonomous. They need to be dependable and great communicators. And for example, just for a producer role, we interviewed like 400 candidates, and it always comes to like hundreds of candidates for each role. So protecting this team became of my priority number one. And in the end, we had to let 3 people go, but I'm happy to say that at the beginning of the year, we already rehired 2. So
Wow.
at least we were able to protect our relationships and also lean at our returning clients who simply wanted to continue with us after the first shockwave.
I find that wonderful to hear, to be honest. Obviously, we've seen so many people lose their jobs from this, and it's had a minimal effect. Do you think being an independently owned company has given you the power to do that and make that brave decision?
Honestly, I'm not sure if I feel the independence. I also feel the responsibility for people. Perhaps business wise, going as deep into our war chest as we went to protect the team would be something that some other if we had other stakeholders, they would probably frown upon it. But I believe that successful companies are built on people, and if you retain the people, there is a long-term value to be gained. So yes, I do believe that being an independently owned studio has helped us in making these tough decisions and protect the company.
Yeah. I was speaking to a senior leader at another outsourcing company based in the UK, and they had a really interesting insight on the way they see outsourcing in the future because of the effects of the industry. Seeing the big studios becoming a bit more leaner and then relying on the outsourcing, and that meaning the outsourcing companies becoming bigger and stronger and becoming a much more integral part of the whole ecosystem. Is that how you see it? Do you have any other insights to that?
Yeah, I think so. I would agree with that because you want to manage your costs more effectively and basically pick your battles. There are disciplines and parts of the game that where it makes a lot of sense to keep things close to your chest and keep creative control. But there is also a ton of elements that can be either outsourced or co-developed. In terms of when I say co-development, I mean tapping the expertise of a third party to elevate the quality of your product. But there is no sense for you to keep those people on the payroll at all times.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm a big believer in the future of co-development, and as long as these outsourcing studios like ours remain smart with keeping things flexible, I think that there is bright future ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think there's definitely capacity for it. And we are seeing a lot of the people who are hiring at the minute, all those co-development studios. So there's definitely hunger for it. You mentioned about your hiring process not being the easiest thing to go through. And obviously there's a lot of people in the market looking for roles. So as a CEO, could you explain your hiring process and any sort of tips, piece of advice for people looking for a job to make them stand out?
Sure. I mean, for us, a lot of importance is put on cultural match and communication. As I mentioned, as a natively remote team, we don't have the luxury of simply turning our head and asking our colleagues a question or involve them into problem solving. So as we interview people, we of course we look at portfolios, of course we look at their pedigree, CVs, and such, but we frequently test our candidates even on more senior roles. I know that there are many people in the industry that frown upon, like, hey, I'm in the industry for 15 years. Why are you expecting me to do a test?
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think that the pedigree alone and great portfolio doesn't necessarily guarantee the match of that person for your team, and we always pay for our tests. So this is one of the things that we do, for example.
I had a great analogy to that argument.
Mm-hmm.
Please, when you go and buy a packet of eggs, do you open the box and check it first? Of course you do. You don't want to see you need to see if there's any broken eggs. And I think tests exactly the same. Your CV can only tell you one part of the story, but you've got to see in practice what that person is.
Yeah, I mean, it's been more than 10 years back, but at one point I interviewed for CD Projekt Red, for a role at CD Projekt Red, and I already had a lot of games, high-profile games shipped from Mafia to The Amazing Spider-Man, and I was actually very happy to be given a written, pretty stressful test, because I felt like, yeah, these guys actually genuinely care about the skill set and match of the people that they're bringing on board, and they want to make sure that I perform for them. Similarly, I loved the recruitment process in a lot of my past employers, Crytek, which I completely ripped off for my own company, where basically when I interviewed for a manager role, I wasn't just interviewed by the direct supervisors, but also by people from different disciplines. So basically, my interview took 2 days, and I was interviewed by artists, by animators, by sound guys, etc. And yes, this was actually like time consuming, and it required attention from a lot of people from the team. Of course, it didn't happen in the initial stage of the interview, but later one day when I was like a short among the very few candidates that they wanted to seriously consider. But the benefit of this approach was that after this interview, the participants voted whether or not do they want me in the studio, and I knew that I had support from my future colleagues from the get-go. And from my first day at the studio, there were about 20 people who knew not only why I was hired, but also what my profile is, and they were approaching me with offer to help. And basically, I felt integrated in the team super fast, and I absolutely loved that experience. And we are trying to do the same with at Plan A by involving my colleagues into the interview process.
That's so interesting. And, it's good to get it from that perspective, because sometimes, a candidate goes through a couple of different processes within a company, and it becomes a bit daunting. But seeing it from that perspective, it just really shines light on the thinking behind it. And just coming back, you say you pay for tests. That's not a common thing in the industry.
To be honest, I don't have enough reference points to know if it's common or not common. But I simply respect the time of people that we interview, and once they reach a point where we ask them to showcase their skills, I would find it disrespectful to their time to ask them for free work. I mean, all of us have bills to pay. We have things to do with our time, and I simply respect the effort that the candidate puts in showcasing their work for us. Similarly, when we work with our partners as a studio, and then they decide to test us because they never worked with us before, we expect to be paid, or we only like. And the other, of course, like the other way around, if the partner is not happy with us, we give them work free of charge. But luckily actually we never had to apply this policy.
That doesn't happen, does it? No.
No, we pick our battles.
Just last question, I suppose. Just back onto the job seekers. How can they stand out from the crowd? Now, what's going to make you take note over one candidate over another? Is there anything specific you can think about?
I'm not sure if I'm an old schooler, but I do care about cover letter, and if there is no cover letter, at least 2 signs that the candidate that we're speaking with knows who we are and who he's interviewing with. That we are not just like run of the mill, like one item on a list, because if you feel genuine interest of the candidate in your studio and the team, that's fantastic. The second thing that I love is good questions, because when I speak with someone, I see it as a two-way road. I don't particularly enjoy just like grilling people with one-sided questions, but also try to learn how that person thinks, what makes them interested about us, and this usually sparks very interesting conversations that we really enjoy.
And it comes to that collaborative, and you'll be able to share common interests and bond over that conversation, I suppose. You've opened a can of worms there as well, to be honest. That cover letter story. I mean, I don't know if I'm coming or going with it. Sometimes I'll speak to people and they're like, wasting your time. Other times, if they don't send a cover letter, then they won't even get seen. It's such a minefield that. So if you had to pick, like, are we talking 1 page, a couple of paragraphs? How long, how short does it need to be? You're going to read everything word for word?
Oh, super! Just something super short that shows that the candidate either has studied something about the person interviewing them or the studio that they're interviewing with. This makes me always super happy. It's the interest and genuine passion that makes us hooked. Sometimes even like with candidates that we would normally refuse on the first try. I'll give you a story which is not tied to Plan A, but it's actually a nice story on from when I worked on Mafia 2. There was this young aspiring level designer who really wanted to work on the game, and he went to, I think it was Gamescom, where we had a booth where we presented the game, and he had no appointments arranged, nothing, and he tried to ask the receptionist for some producers to talk to, and they of course told him off. And he basically just observed people and their name tags, and he just remembered one name, waited for the receptionist to change, and asked another receptionist to fetch him a person X. So
That's it.
once she went for a wild goose chase, he actually hid in the closet of the booth and waited for someone to speak to, and he just jumped my colleagues like, "Guys, I want to work with you," and we were laughing at his persistence. Um, and our producer actually gave him a shot,
Wow.
and he turned out to be actually a pretty capable guy who ended up working in Konami for Hideo Kojima, and like a whole bunch of nice titles later. I mean, I don't encourage people to just like sneak into the booths Metal Gear Solid style. But I'm simply saying that sometimes the passion can get you quite far. You need to be memorable somehow. You need to be memorable, and if you really care and your skill is pretty good, the personality matters.
So we're not recommending everyone to do that, but that tenacity, passion coming through, that's the key in that.
For me, for sure, because I do want to work with like-minded people. I would say that if I have to choose between an absolutely like elite person that doesn't communicate well, or is like a complete lone wolf, I would and a person who has a bit lower skill but is a great communicator and team player, I would choose the latter, because the games are a team effort, and you always want to enjoy problem solving with the people that you work with. I mean, at the end of the day, we spend about the same amount of hours or even more working with people than as we do with our families. So
Yeah.
well, we might as well choose people
What
that
you
we
like?
love.
Yeah. Excellent. Love that, Tom. Absolutely loved it.
Well, glad you see value there, Dave. I mean, I don't feel like an industry heavyweight that you present me here to be.
It's not about heavyweights, I don't think. It's about someone who is trying to do something a bit different. Because we've seen time and again in the last year that companies don't value the people. They're just seen as a commodity which can be got rid of whenever they want to. And hearing you speak like that, I think that gives people hope. That there are all good people out there who are putting their people in front of everything and doing everything they can to support them. So, no, I think that's absolutely incredible, mate.
No, Dave. I really, I agree with you, and I value what you do for companies like ours when you're helping us to look for the right talent. Because I've been through way too many companies that treated the people like cogs in a machine, and I've been actually literally told that I care about people too much and that I should be treating them like that.
That's bullshit.
Oh, fun part is that the person who told me that is not in games industry anymore, because yeah,
It's a different
he was so
sort
good for the studio.
Yeah, it's a different sort of person who works in games. It's just a different mentality, and it's a passion of theirs, and they want to feel like they're part of something. I never know what's going to happen when I start conversations like this, Tom. And I know we go back a little bit, and we know each other, and we communicate semi-regularly. But like the insights you've offered there, the challenges you've faced, and the decisions you've made, and putting your people first, and how you perceive people, and what you look for with prospective applicants, I think it's fantastic. I think you're one of the good guys, one of the cool guys.
You're
Yeah.
super kind. We're trying to not to repeat the mistakes we've seen at other studios that we worked at and make our own mistakes. So that's basically our creed.
Hey, it's all learning, isn't it? Mistakes are the opportunities to learn. So,
Always.
fantastic. Well, I've kept you for long enough, but thank you so much for your time today, Tom. I'm sure everyone will appreciate the insights, and good luck for the future.
Thank you, Dave. It's been a pleasure.
What's the most rewarding part of your job?
Most interesting part of my job is not feeling like the smartest person in the room.
What would Tom now tell young Tom starting in the industry?
I started in the industry wanting to work on great projects. Over the years, it turned into wanting to work with like-minded individuals.
Tell me something positive about the games industry right now.
The creativity and tools available to developers make me very hopeful about what we will see from indies and AA studios in the future.
What developments or changes are you excited about in the industry?
It's the same actually. The tools that are becoming available to developers and particularly AI, not in terms of AI generated art, but for example, making the game world richer, using it for narrative, for interesting human-like characters that I'm very excited about.
What's your favorite genre of game to work on?
Any game that has ambitions to leave an emotional impact on its audience.
What's your favorite snack?
I'll be boring. I'll go with popcorn, but the kind that they make in cinemas, like with the special salt and butter.